Hi and welcome back. We're doing a Disney day out in London and we're going to see the Disney 100 exhibit. We're currently walking towards the XL London exhibit for the Disney 100 exhibit. We've already spent the morning in London, so we've been to the Disney store obviously, and we're going to go round to the Disney 100. So we've arrived. Here we are. So I don't know how, I think I might just film and just do voiceover for this, so to not distract from other people's. Had our photo taken, put our bags in the locker, so let's head on in.
In 1923, a young man from the American Midwest, along with his older brother Roy, started a cartoon studio in the back rooms of a small real estate office. Characters that become beloved friends, wondrous experiences, and music that has become the soundtrack of our lives. Presented in themed galleries based on Walt Disney's creative concepts and philosophies. These include storytelling, creating believable characters, the spirit of adventure and discovery, the magic of sound and music, the world around us, real and imagined, curiosity, imagination, and technological innovation, the worldwide wonder of the Disney parks, and an everlasting sense of optimism about the future. His philosophies became the foundation of the Walt Disney Company. They still inspire Disney's artists, filmmakers, Imagineers, and the storytellers of today.
Here we go again, so hang on. Anything goes. You ready? And let the show begin. Here's my pal Walt to tell you how the magic is made.
There's a lot of satisfaction in developing ideas into reality when we consider a new project, we really study it. Not just the surface idea, but everything about it. We're always exploring and experimenting.
Everybody ready? Then on with the show!
As the opening video suggested, the exhibition was split up into lots of different areas. So we started and we came through into where it all began, which was the early life of Walt and how he developed his animation studio with his brother. It showed some of the early sketches that he drew, and it showed some of the early movies that they produced. As you can see, there was some early photos from Walt's childhood, and there was quotes throughout the whole exhibition from Walt himself throughout his career. As I was trying to film, I didn't want to get in people's way, so a lot of the time I was filming over the top of people's heads and just waiting to get into space. This probably was the busiest area of the whole exhibition, and as you can see, there was videos being shown of his early work with Alice comedies and Steamboat Willie, as well as some Oswald sketches. As I said, this is probably the busiest area of the whole exhibition. We walked out after watching the introduction video from Walt himself, and people were already in this area, and even while we were watching the videos and reading the information on the wall, the next group of people were coming through. So it does get quite congested in this area, so just giving you a heads up, if you are going to go, this is probably the busiest area, but it's really interesting because you can see the evolution of the work, introduction of new characters, and as it says here, the colour and depth in animation and how they produced all of that. So it was interesting to see how it went from sketches to pictures to actually moving images to actually being in colour. And this wall was one of the most popular because this was showing everything that was produced throughout the 100 years of Disney. So for every decade there was a different screen. After looking at the highlights of the 100 years of Disney, the next area was where the stories come from. So this explains some of the inspiration behind many of the films of Disney. For example, it sort of talks about how a lot of the stories have come from stories. such as Winnie the Pooh, and it sort of shows some of the artwork and designer sketches that there were for Snow White that's here. I found this bit really interesting because it sort of showed where the inspiration came from, and it sort of breaks it down into books, tales, folk legends, and just generally where the inspiration has come from throughout the different years. As we moved more into this area, there was more hands-on element that you could have on, such as this book here. You turn the pages and it also changed on the screen in front of you, which I thought was quite interesting. There's some more photo opportunities that people could have with the fairy godmother, and also some of the props and from the films themselves, such as Winnie the Pooh, which is a big, huge one. There was lots of information about some of the most popular films, such as Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Snow White, and many more. The next area that we moved into was all about the characters and called The Illusion of Life. There wasn't much to record other than what I showed in the story element because of it being a lot of reading and a lot of screens, and I wanted people to experience some stuff for their own. But yeah, this was again getting more hands-on. You're seeing statues that have been carved for the films, and there was such a wide variety of characters on show here from Pixar and Disney, and it's just amazing some of the skill that is done to create some of these statues, and they also do range in age as well. So you've got some of the most recent, you've got Hercules, but you've also got Up and Pluto as well as Beast. They also had some focus walls that focused on particular characters such as Cruella de Vil and Olaf, but I found it really interesting to see some of the statues. There was a game where you could try and work out what character is being described by the colour pattern that was being used, and here is one of the feature walls that I was just talking about, Cruella de Vil and the evolution of the character of Cruella de Vil, how she started in the animation series of 101 and then moved on to her most recent films featuring Emma Stone. And here is the feature wall for Olaf, some of the early sketches that involved Olaf, as well as some of the finished sketches and pictures. And this was one of the big things, was an animatronic that has been seen in the parks, which is just fantastic. Next up was the Spirit of Adventure and Discovery. This was looking at where the stories take place and some of the settings. So there's like jungle themed, Marvel, underwater, Star Wars. This was a bit more themed about where the setting of things were, and again it's showing so much. So we had Pirates of the Caribbean, we had the Jungle Cruise being represented, we had 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and as I said, there was stuff for space, Star Wars and Marvel costumes, a lot of props and pictures from a wide variety of films, both live action and animated. In this corner we had information about Peter Pan, which looked at the progression of Peter Pan's story as a whole, how it started out as a book and then evolved into the cartoon, some of the sketches, and how it is now a live action film that they've got on Disney Plus. So again, it's promoting films that are available now on Disney Plus, as well as other films that have come beforehand, both animated. And here is a costume that Rock wore for Jungle Cruise. So again, there is so much to see. There's props, there's loads of different bits. I was most intrigued by some of the information, as well as the hand-drawn animation cells and sketches for the ideas of the film. I found it really interesting to see some of these sketches like here. As we entered this room, we noticed that there was a dramatic change in the crowds. There is no time limit. You can spend as much time as you want in each room. No one's forcing you to move along, but definitely as you were walking more through the attraction, the exhibition, there was definitely a significant drop in crowd. It says that it's about a 50-minute to an hour attraction. We spent over 2 hours looking around everything, so it does vary depending on how much you want to read, how much you want to look at. Sometimes you do have to wait and have a look at, so I was waiting for the Star Wars ward and let the people before me have a look at all this and look at BB-8 and look at all the things, including the Stormtrooper suit that's going to come up in a minute. But I decided to do that. I decided to wait. So the attraction, the exhibition can last as long as you make it last. but by this point we had noticed a significant change in crowds around the whole area. We do feel that we could have probably made the exhibition last even longer. We were rushing because we had to catch a bus back home, which we were worried about missing because it was also on the day of a train strike. So again, it does last for however long you want to make it last. So there were costumes representing Marvel, so we had Black Widows, and we got lots of different helmets here for Captain Marvel, Star-Lord, Iron Man, Captain America and Ant-Man, all available here on display. There's Captain America's shield as well in this area. So again, it's looking at the stories that are being told, the settings and the inspiration behind the films that are being produced by Disney, not just in the past but also what is going on now. Next up was the magic of sound and music. This bit I will probably have to mute the background sound because of copyright, but this is going into the history of the music throughout the different films and how it always has an inspiration on the film itself, and how the soundtrack is just as important as what you're seeing on the screen. So we've got Enchanted here with again props from the film, costumes, and it goes into a bit of history. I really enjoyed the aspect that there was the song scores and the song sheets available to see all the way back, dating back from, I think it was even Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs score and song sheets were available on display. So I found that really interesting that some of the stuff has lasted. Oh, there's the Snow White, it was a record, and the sketches of that whole scene. But I found this bit really interesting. You can actually look and see what it's like to listen to music in a variety of different languages, and how different actresses may sing it in multiple languages, or they might hire people to sing it in an alternative language as well. So I found it really interesting to look at this design and to look at the inspiration that comes from the music, or what inspires the music to be written itself. This bit was really kind of cool to look at, and this one was definitely an area where you can sit and watch and listen to the music being played for quite a long time. I felt like I could spend quite a long time in this area listening to the music, watching the videos, looking at the artwork. I just did really enjoy this whole area of the exhibition itself. This part of the exhibition also looked at the evolution of the music throughout the whole Disney 100 and how it was used to put to the animation to the music, to then have the music as part of the film, so it became a musical, and then how it moved onto Broadway and has become developed into something even bigger, and having even music in the parks, and how it's developed into such a big part of the Disney parks, as well as the Broadway musicals, the movies, and everything else that now is included in just Disney as a company as a whole. As a fan of the parks, I really enjoyed actually looking at some of these sketches and looking at the album work that was available in the parks early on. The next room was the world around us. This was looking at the real world and the real life that can either inspire some of the settings of the films, or even look at the documentaries that Disney has made throughout its years. One part of this room that I really enjoyed was looking at the display of the real life locations that inspired the designers of the parks and the films, and how they took that inspiration and made the sketches. So we've got the Matterhorn here, and then we've also got Big Thunder Mountain, and how those real life locations inspired these designers to create something. And as a big fan of the park, I really enjoyed seeing these sketches and looking at the inspiration behind it all. Next up is innovations. It's looking at the inventions that Disney has created over the last 100 years. So looking at the sound, looking at cameras, looking at the animatronics in the park. So again, I was really interested in some of the park designs and some of the park innovations that have been made for the parks, as well as the camera that they used for Snow White to make a multi-plane camera, and some of the sound recording devices. Again, quotes and set pieces and costumes from throughout the whole history of Disney are on display, and I just found it absolutely amazing to look at. This bird in this cage was the inspiration behind the enchanted tiki room, so it's really kind of interesting to look back and see what inspired those designers, again those engineers, to create it, and it looks at the history of the animatronics in the parks. This next room was the one I was looking forward to, called Your Disney World. So this was actually looking at the Disney parks. It had some of the seating that's not available, so it had like teacups, and it had Mr. Toad's Wild Ride seating available. It had maps, it had designs for firework displays, it had posters. It was just something that I absolutely love. It's the details that I love in the park that were on display here, and the imagination that goes behind designing the rides, the attractions, and just the theming of the parks themselves. In this area we had some of the models and animatronics that have been on display, character costumes that would have been seen in the park, models that was designed to when they first come up with the idea of the attraction. So again, there was lots of things that I saw and I was like, I'm really impressed with, because I've seen them in the parks. So It's a Small World being represented here, and Minnie's costume on display. So I really loved this whole area. I was amazed by it all, and I was so happy at reading all of this information that's on display. Finally, it was all about the future of Disney and what they have planned and what's in store. So it looks back at the last 100 years, their animation, their live action, their documentaries, and what they've done and what they plan to do in the future and what they've got. As I said earlier, we were worried about having to catch a bus, so we didn't actually stay very long in this area and get to look at all of this in videos. But this bit was really quite cool to see some of like the clips throughout the years, and there was also an example of the partner statue that you can find in the parks as well. So that's the end of the exhibit. So next up we'll be having to hand over to Future Steve, where he'll probably show you our shopping haul from the Disney store itself, as well as the gift shop that's at the end of the exhibit. So we are back home. We had a fantastic time going around the Disney 100 exhibit. I hope you guys have enjoyed the footage that we showed. It was very informative. I really enjoyed reading up on a lot of things and just the history of Disney itself. But as I said earlier in this video, we stopped by the Disney store, and I was going to show you what we got. Now we also went for the VIP pass. So as part of that, we got a Wish poster, which due to the light isn't really showing up brilliantly, so I might take some photos and put them up. We also got a drink that was included, and we got a lanyard with the Disney 100. Ooh. So, and I'm trying to remember now. There it is. And we got a drinks Disney 100 exhibit holder, so it holds like a small bottle or a can. So yeah, we got that. We also sort of stopped by the store, so we got ourselves some t-shirts, which we got the Mickey Mouse, and it has got the Disney 100 exhibit logo on the arm, so that's pretty cool. And we also got another t-shirt, again Disney 100, Sorcerer and Mickey. So we got a couple of t-shirts for ourselves to remember the trip by. And also, because it's December, we got ourselves a Disney 100 calendar. That reminds me, I need to update my Instagram. I've not done it for a good couple of months. This was one of the things that I thought was really good, is the amount of artwork that was on display was fantastic. And yeah, we've now got a calendar for that. So earlier on in the day, we went to the Disney store, as I said, so those were purchases that we made at the Disney 100 exhibit. these are some of the purchases that we made at the Disney store itself. So we've got the Haunted Mansion Lego set. And if you want to see a build with me Lego, we have got quite a few Lego sets that we do need to build. So let us know in the comments below, do you want a Lego building video? If so, I can film that. So we got the Haunted Mansion Lego set. And then we decided to go for the pins. Oh, I thought this was a pin that we purchased. It wasn't. This was a pin that we got as part of the Disney 100 and Mickey Mouse. So that was part of the VIP. Just try and get. So we saw a collection that we were quite liking the look of, and it's called Mechanical Mischief. So it's the villains, but like a steampunk type affair. Let's see if I can make that focus properly. I don't think it is going to. But so we got Jafar, and it's the detail to these that is absolutely amazing. We got Yzma. Again, the focus isn't doing it brilliantly, so might be photos over the top. We got Captain Hook, as well as Dr. Lucifer. And you can't do it without Maleficent. And we got everyone's favourite, Ursula, as well. And then the centerpiece of it all is the steampunk mechanical dragon that you see in the Disney parades in front of the castle. So we thought that was a pretty cool set. We also saw the magical medallion Disney pin, which showed Olympus. It showed lots of different places, but there wasn't that much of a selection. And they sort of, this opens up to show you Olympus from Hercules. So again, you've got Pegasus there, and I think it's pretty cool. We also did get a couple of baubles, well, not baubles, but Christmas ornaments as well, which were the book. We've got 3 of them, and we thought it was pretty cool. So we've added to our pin collection. We've got some more Lego, and we got some more t-shirts and a calendar. So we had a fantastic day. I highly recommend it if you are a massive Disney fan. If you are someone who is interested in going to see the history of Disney himself and the parks and how it all, like the films and how it's expanded and grown over the last 100 years, it is really good. It's not as hands-on and it's not as child orientated as I thought it was going to be. There is quite a lot of reading. There is elements that are hands-on. You've got, so as you've seen in the videos, you've got videos playing. You've got some hands-on exhibition, but it is literally sort of like a gallery. I didn't know it was going to be around for 5 years. I thought this was a very limited time period, but it's going to tour around Europe. It's going to tour around the US, and we're in London for birthdays, so we thought we'd give it a go. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any ideas that you'd like to see for these videos, then drop in the comment below. If you've got any questions on how to plan a Disney holiday, then I am more than happy to try and help you with your holiday. Put them in the comments below or message me on Instagram. I will try and help you the best I can. Like, share, subscribe, comment. That always supports the video and it's always appreciated. Stay tuned for more Disney Dreamlight Valley videos coming. We have now started a Rift in Time, so by the time this video comes out, we wouldn't have. We'd have streamed a Rift in Time video, but it wouldn't have been on YouTube yet. So stay tuned for YouTube if you're wanting to see what the new part of Disney Dreamlight Valley looks like. And I'm just excited to bring more Disney content. We've got some plans for what we're doing in 2024, and we're so excited to bring you guys along. So stay tuned, subscribe, and we'll see you real soon.